afternoon. President DeGioia, faculty and leaders of Georgetown University, Cheryl and Eiffel, our honorary degree recipients, and most important, members of the graduating class and their families and friends, welcome! This is the 2022 Georgetown University Law Center Commencement Ceremony, and today we honor the individuals who make up the historic 151st graduating class of Georgetown University Law Center. So I ask you to remain standing. Thank you. For the national anthem, which will be performed by La Capello and members of our graduating class.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. And I would now like to invite Michael Goldman, Jewish chaplain at the Law Center, and Imam Yahya Hendi, Muslim chaplain, to deliver the invocation.
The Torah has advice for newly minted lawyers. Justice, justice, thou shalt pursue. This sounds a bit like the theme of Georgetown law. Law is but the means, justice is the end. But why is the biblical quote, is justice repeated? Justice, justice, thou shalt pursue. For emphasis, maybe. Some think it means that justice must be pursued justly, just means. Perhaps it's repeated because justice is not necessarily one thing. Ask adversaries, and you'll have opportunities to do that, and each will tell you with equal zeal they have justice on their side. They both can't be right, can they? This is the question at the foundation of my prayer. O Lord, see our desire to discern the justice on each side. Give us ears and hearts to listen carefully deeply, sympathetically, and fully to all of their stories and to hear their passionate pleas for justice. Help us to process and weigh them with respect, as if each is right. And in so doing, give us eyes to see the humanity in others as we take in their stories and their arguments. In this work, to let each side be heard and respected, guide our feet along the path in which we can begin to pursue, if not always achieve, justice, and help us to travel this path together.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. The Quran declares, stand out firmly for justice, for in the pursuit of justice you find righteousness. Let us pray. Almighty living God of justice and compassion, we call upon your holy name to bless Georgetown University Law Center class of 2022 and to bless this nation of ours and all the nations of the world. God, make this season of graduation one that inspires us to turn to love those fears, to inspire us to break the swords of war, to put off the fires of hate, and to march together in the gardens of kindness and liberty. We ask that you inspire our graduating class of 2022, the leaders of the future, with the ability to love unconditionally, to serve passionately, to humble themselves before your glory prayerfully, and to become a voice of truth and justice vigorously. God, we ask for a new season of hope and optimism, a new generation committed to tranquility around the world, a new path of reconciliation between all nations and races. Reform our hearts so that we may become a true image of your divine mercy. God, renew our tongues so that we may speak nothing but the truth. Living God, repair our souls so that we may echo the voice of reason, wisdom, and sanity in our country and all over the world. God, give us the wisdom to realize that redemption will be realized when we all return out of our exile from one another. And that night will turn into day when we smile for others' happiness. May that day come soon. May we see it soon in this our world. Ya Salamu, Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahim. And with a united voice, let us all say, Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our founder, Most Reverend John Carroll, first Archbishop of Baltimore and first Catholic bishop in the United States, took legal possession of our hilltop in 1789, and we mark that as our founding date. Our first student, the future North Carolina Congressman William Gaston, arrived in 1791, and our first bachelor's degrees were not awarded until 1817. It was in 1815 that, with enrollments passing the 100 mark, the college's president, Father John Grassi of the Society of Jesus, asked then Congressman Gaston to present a petition for a federal charter, a document that still today sanctions the academic business that we do here. It is our custom to begin academic ceremonies with a reading of that charter. To discharge that office, I am pleased to introduce Ms. Marie Matson, Secretary of the University.
an act concerning the College of Georgetown in the District of Columbia. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that it shall and may be lawful for such persons as now are, or from time to time may be, the president and directors of the College of Georgetown within the District of Columbia, to admit any students belonging to said college or other persons meriting academical honors to any degrees in the faculties, arts, sciences, and liberal professions to which persons are usually admitted in other colleges and universities of the United States, and to issue in an appropriate form the diplomas or certificates which may be requisite to testify to the admission of such degree. Signed, Langdon Chevis, Speaker of the House of Representatives. John Gaillard, President pro tempore Senate. Approved March 1, 1815. James Madison, President of the United States.
Thank you, Secretary Mattson. And now, Professor Kristen Henning will introduce our honorary degree recipient, Sherilyn Eiffel.
Sherilyn Eiffel once said, "What it means to be a civil rights lawyer is to be very clear-headed about the weaknesses in American democracy, to be clear-headed about fundamental inequality and about racial inequality, but also to believe that there is a role for you to play and for the law to play in transforming the inequality in our country." Ms. Eiffel has assumed her role as a civil rights leader with grace and distinction for the last 35 years. Today, Georgetown honors a transcendent thinker, an intersectional scholar, an activist, and a leader who has dedicated her professional life to historical truth-telling in the pursuit of justice, to challenging the narratives that have inflicted trauma on marginalized people within our country, and to an unwavering commitment to justice and equity at the intersection of race, gender, poverty, education, and economic opportunities. Ms. Eiffel embarked upon her legal career in the 1980s during a time of social, political, and legal uncertainty, when the progress of the 1960s civil rights era appeared to be unraveling, both in Congress and in the courts across our nation. As a young advocate, Ms. Eiffel often watched documentaries and read stories about the triumphs of the civil rights movement and wished that she too had been a part of these transformative times. But inspired and undaunted, she recognized the present era as her moment, her opportunity to shape the destiny of our community. Immediately after graduating from law school in 1987, Ms. Eiffel served in a year-long fellowship in the American Civil Liberties Union, followed by 5 years at the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, where she worked on important voting rights litigation highlighted by the landmark Supreme Court case Houston Lawyers Association versus the Attorney General of Texas, holding that trial judges' elections are also covered by the Voting Rights Act. In 1993, Ms. Eiffel joined the faculty of the University of Maryland Carey School of Law, where she became a prolific writer and a leading voice in racial justice. Teaching gave her an opportunity to share what she had learned from her clients at the ACLU and LDF and led her to launch a full-service civil rights clinic with her students representing low-income and minority clients in the Baltimore area. After 2 decades of educating law students just like you, whom she saw as the nation's next generation of civil rights lawyers, Ms. Eiffel became the 7th president of the Legal Defense and Education Fund. During her tenure, LDF experienced a period of tremendous visibility, largely due to the organization's increased focus and leadership on voter suppression in the wake of Shelby County versus Holder, and against inequity in education, economic disparities, and racial discrimination in the criminal legal system. Her achievements are even more impressive as we evaluate her leadership within an ever-divided nation and in the face of numerous racial tragedies during her tenure, including the tragic losses of Trayvon Martin, Freddie Gray, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. Ms. Eiffel's successor at LDF, Janine Nelson, reflected on her predecessor's unrelenting tenacity to never be so challenged by the difficult times that we're facing that we cannot find a pathway or a through line to the other side. As Ms. Nelson said, Sherilyn Eiffel is quite strategic about thinking of ways to turn even the most dire circumstances into a learning lesson, a teachable moment at a minimum, and often leveraging the tragedies as a point of change and radical transformation. What a powerful lesson for our university community and for our law graduates. In recognition of her myriad achievements and unshakable commitment to equity, Georgetown University is privileged to bestow upon Sherilyn Eiffel the honorary degree of Doctors of Law. Thank you.
Beautiful, Chris. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Congress of the United States and by the Board of Directors of Georgetown University, I officially confer upon Sherilyn Eiffel the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. It is my profound honor to introduce Sherilyn Eiffel, who will now address the graduating class.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you, Dean Traynor and President DeGioia and the faculty and staff, and of course, all of you in the class of 2022 and your families and friends who joined us here today. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. It's hot, but I'm not taking this off. And I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. I want to first salute you, the class of 2022, for just having made it and being here today. These 3 years, I know, have not been easy. They have been tough years in our world, in our country, and at Georgetown Law. You've endured a law school journey that no lawyer alive who came before you can match. You completed law school in the midst of a global pandemic. You learned remotely, initially from teachers and with students you'd never met. You endured the strange return to in-person learning. You dealt with Delta and Omicron and whatever we're calling the latest variant. Many of you in this audience today have had your lives touched by COVID infection. Some of you have lost loved ones. All of us have lost 1 million of our fellow Americans, and none of us have had sufficient time or opportunity to fully absorb the meaning of this catastrophic loss or to properly grieve it. You have seen our planet driven to the brink of climate disaster. You've seen our democracy driven to the cliff's edge, where we remain precariously perched. You watched the video of the torture and murder of George Floyd. You've seen our politics degraded. You watched in horror as our Capitol was attacked in an effort to overturn the election. You saw members of Congress fleeing for their lives. You saw something that has never been seen before in our history, a Confederate flag paraded through the halls of the Capitol. You've read something no law students before you have read prior to this year, a fully formed, leaked draft of a Supreme Court opinion that would strike down a right deemed fundamental for 50 years. And you endured controversy here at Georgetown, hurtful and disparaging words uttered by professors, words that demeaned and inflamed and poured salt in the open wound of racism, and caused you to have to think about your own environment and atmosphere here at the law school. But you also participated in the most consequential election of our lifetimes, and you did it in the midst of that global pandemic. You contributed to the highest participation in a presidential election that this country has ever seen. You perhaps took to the streets along with millions of others in all 50 states and around the world to express your outrage, to stand against racism and police violence, and to state your commitment to justice and equality. You returned to your homes, many of you, and reignited your warm and close relationships with your parents and your siblings during the lockdown. You witnessed and cheered on the confirmation of the first Black woman to a seat on the United States Supreme Court, a fully uniquely and supremely qualified woman who will be sworn into her seat in a few weeks. And you still mastered contracts and personal jurisdiction and res judicata. You still wrote brilliant student notes. You still filed and litigated truly impressive cases, wrote briefs, and drafted legislation in your terrific clinics. So I want to salute you. I want to recognize that you've had to do the most important thing you can do in difficult times: persevere. It's not a small thing, and it deserves acknowledgement. Now, I know you're smart and talented, but your perseverance is what has brought you here to this day. The great American writer James Baldwin famously said, "Beyond talent lie all the usual words: discipline, love, luck, but most of all, endurance." And you have endured. Please give yourself a round of applause. I want to say a word about your faculty, because the unpleasantness created by unhelpful and even offensive words of a few faculty members appropriately received your attention. But I want to reassure everyone here, especially the parents, as you and I'm sure everyone knows, in the main, your faculty is superb, and they endured as well. It was not easy for them either. Your hardworking faculty had to learn to Zoom teach. They led important discussions on campus during incredibly volatile periods. And so many of them were critical to helping guide so many of us around the country in our thinking about events that were unfolding around us. Many of us who were engaged in intense civil rights litigation and legislative efforts full-time relied on the scholarship and the interventions and the engagement of Georgetown law faculty members to help us as we did our work. And I want to acknowledge them for their excellence. Anyone who seeks to join this faculty should know that it is a privilege to be a part of this faculty and to teach Georgetown law students. So students, I'm going to need you to take a deep breath. I know it's hot, but take one anyway. Because despite your endurance, more of you is required. More of all of us. Because, as I said, our democracy remains precariously perched at the cliff's edge, and there's much work to be done if we're to find a pathway to a stronger, more enduring democracy. I'm not singling you out for this work. If I were speaking to a class of graduates from journalism school or an MBA program or a public policy school or seminary, I would charge them similarly. Because if our democracy is to be saved, let alone strengthened, it will require the committed participation of every aspect of civil society. Each institution, whether business, journalism, law, or our faith institutions, will have to find the courage to confront its own weaknesses, to examine its role in contributing to the unraveling of our democracy, and will have to reimagine its own obligations and role in protecting and strengthening American democracy going forward. But lawyers and the legal profession play a particular and uniquely important role in the health of a democracy. Lawyers are charged with articulating, protecting, and upholding the rule of law, and we can only do that with integrity and power when we can satisfy our own hearts and minds that the legal system within which we work and to which we have pledged an oath is in fact just and fair. And so to fulfill our professional obligation to uphold the rule of law, lawyers must, in my view, also work to create a truly just justice system. This is a big lift, and at times, even to me, it seems insurmountable. But the alternative is what we see, the ever-accelerating downward spiral of our democracy. Here's the good news. You and I, we, are heirs of a band of lawyers, men and women, who were regarded by this country as second-class citizens, but who nevertheless set about to change the course of American democracy. Just a few names: Thurgood Marshall, Pauli Murray, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Jack Greenberg, Constance Baker Motley, Robert Carter, and so many others. And millions of men and women, including myself, around the world were inspired to become lawyers because of them. What we must remember is that when they did their most consequential work, they had no blueprint. They had no country upon which they modeled their vision. Most had never known a life without Jim Crow. For most of them, none in their family had known a life without Jim Crow segregation or slavery itself. They had not lived in a world without gender discrimination. But out of their own imagination, their own dedication, their own commitment to justice and equality, they created a plan to end legal apartheid in America and to make women first-class citizens. And they executed that plan. And their work allowed many of us to be sitting where we are today, living where we live, married to who we're married to, traveling later to eat in a restaurant of our choosing, checking out of a hotel where we wouldn't have been allowed to stay, or preparing for jobs that would never have even considered us 70 years ago. I say this often because we are facing a time when perhaps you are, and if I'm honest, sometimes I am unsure about whether we can create the kind of democracy that truly ensures equal protection, that respects the dignity of immigrants, that protects a woman's right to determine what happens with her own body, that protects the rights and dignity of gay, lesbian, queer, and transgender Americans, that ensures full voting access for all eligible citizens, that has a robust and dynamic political system that ensures that all voices are heard, and that embraces economic policies that benefit folks both at the bottom and the top. Maybe you fear that we cannot stop climate degradation. Perhaps this week, after the massacre in Buffalo, you fear that we can never end America's embrace of white supremacy and its violence. Perhaps you fear that we cannot end hate crimes against Asian Americans or anti-Semitic violence. Maybe you see the rise of authoritarianism not only in this country but around the world, and you fear that things are getting worse. You see footage from Syria and Yemen and from the Ukraine, and you fear that we've learned nothing about the wages of war and the importance of peace. Maybe you see the work of those storied lawyers I mentioned being dismantled, and you were uncertain about how to make a difference. I understand. You may be uncertain. But I want you to know that as lawyers, they were uncertain too. Those monumental lawyers of whom I speak, they had never seen what they were fighting for. Often their own people believed it was a pipe dream. They worked in cramped offices for little pay. They endured the indignity of unfair treatment in the courtroom. We celebrate their wins, but they lost a string of cases and had to keep going. Often they just weren't sure if their strategy was working. But their courage made the lives of most of us assembled today possible. We don't need to be sure. We just need to be determined and imaginative and dedicated and relentless. And that graduating class of 2022, I know you are. Because you persevered these past 3 years, I know that you have been trained to keep pushing, to overcome setbacks, to move forward no matter what. That is the spirit we will need from you in the coming years. Now, much as I'd like to, I'm not trying to sign you all up to be civil rights lawyers 24/7. I'm suggesting that in whatever area of law you practice, your first obligation as a citizen, as a lawyer, is to our democracy. And we must influence our profession to reimagine an explicit embrace of this obligation as well. Because this is where I fear our profession may have begun to lose its way. And we've seen this over the last 7 years. There have been bright lights, to be sure. I've been excessively proud of the work of civil rights lawyers. But we've also seen the distressing excesses of some in our profession, those who have forgotten that we are officers of the court and what that means. That means that no matter how zealous we are as advocates, we cannot mislead the court. We must not file frivolous claims. We must not trample the rights of those who protest or who are incarcerated or who are immigrants. That when we are government lawyers, our professional standards must be even higher. That it matters when we make representations under penalty of perjury or just before the public, which must be able to count on our word. And when we are judges, the standards must be higher still. It was 68 years ago that the Supreme Court said that justice must satisfy the appearance of justice. What does that mean? It means that judges must not only be fair and impartial, they must also appear to the public to be fair and impartial. The very legitimacy of the judiciary, which rests on the confidence of the public, depends on it. So we have our work cut out for us. Your role in whatever area you choose to practice law must be to uphold those standards that make this a profession, to walk in the tradition of lawyers who have advanced the highest democratic ideals, to take seriously ethics and norms that hold us together across political, racial, regional, and gender differences. I am calling on you to recognize the fundamental role our profession plays in upholding a democracy and to embrace it, to recognize and understand how the unraveling of the rule of law guarantees the unraveling of a democracy. What do we mean by the rule of law? We mean that the law applies equally to all, the powerful as to the powerless, that we cannot tolerate the aggressive prosecution of street gang members in Baltimore who are alleged to commit obstruction of justice or witness tampering or conspiracy or racketeering, but pretend we don't understand how to apply those same charges to others simply because they worked at the highest levels of government or in business. The rule of law means that we do not abuse legal power by shielding our friends from the legal consequences to which we would expose our enemies. The rule of law means that the law is not to be used as a cudgel to control the powerless or as a tool to further lift and enrich the powerful. It means that we can see and understand why judges rule the way they do, and that procedure really functions, as Robert Cover once said, as the blindfold of justice. In practical terms for you, that will mean sometimes saying no in your work. This will mean being truthful in all of your representations to the court. This will mean providing counsel to your client, not serving as your client's enabler. This will mean setting an atmosphere of integrity around you. This means challenging and speaking against injustice and unfairness, even if you see it in chambers or at the law firm or on social media. This means not allowing yourself to be used by those seeking cover for unjust ends. And yes, it will mean finding a way to use the excellent education you have received here to make a difference that brings us closer to our ideals. For lawyers, it begins with attending to the integrity of our profession. Perhaps you will work as full-time civil rights or social justice lawyers. I hope so. But if not that, than in private practice, as volunteer lawyers, as candidates for public office, as scholars, as legislators, as government lawyers. In whatever capacity, you must never forget your obligation to our democracy and to the integrity of our profession. It is one of the few things that binds us together. In case this sounds like I'm prescribing a life of unrelenting pressure and work, I want to disabuse you of that notion, because the pandemic has taught us all lessons about life and time and balance. I have learned from your generation, and finally from my own children, about self-care. And I'm so grateful that your generation has figured out what many in mine did not, that we must make time for joy, for friends, for love, for sleep, for prayer, for verses and Netflix, for concerts, for sports and walks in the park. Because once we turn this democracy away from the crumbling cliff's edge, we need whole, intelligent, committed, humane, joyful people to reimagine the country and world we want to live in. And you will need all of your humanity and good health, mental and physical, and imagination, as well as your professional skill and intelligence to contribute to this exciting work. Keep your sense of humor. I've been a practicing lawyer for over 30 years. I've seen some of the worst injustice and cruelty. I worked for the noblest of clients. I've been more exhausted than I could imagine being. I have pulled the dreaded 2 all-nighter, the double all-nighter. I have shed tears, but I have loved what I do. And I've made sure that no matter the pressure, to find fun and laughter in it. The sheer hilarious joy of doing what I love and knowing that I am working for good every day has kept me from bitterness, sustained anger, or despair. And working with colleagues who share a vision of the world we seek to create together has always been the secret sauce in my career. So if you can, do what you love. But I'm just crazy enough to believe that all of you want to live in a democracy. I believe that if you have children or want children, you want them to live in a democracy, and that you chose this profession because it is one in which you feel you can work with dignity and integrity and be of consequence. And so we must accept our fate at this time. This is the hand we were dealt. We are called, compelled, to work to save, transform, and reimagine American democracy for the 21st century. We can't be sure of our success, but we can be sure that without our dedication, our perseverance, our commitment to walk in the courage and daring of those lawyers who came before us, we cannot succeed. So please rest in the coming week, savor this accomplishment, eat good food and drink moderately, dance and turn up, study hard and without distraction for the bar, take it, pass it, but then commit yourself to the work that lies before us. Become the best of this profession, and by your example and your demand, pull this profession up to a higher standard of which we can all be proud. In 1978, Thurgood Marshall gave a speech at Howard Law School in which he lamented the state of our democracy. He saw the cracks even then. He riffed on the famous observation about this country from Ben Franklin, "It's a republic if you can keep it." But Marshall said, "It's a democracy if you can keep it." And then he offered some advice. But in order to keep it, he said, you have to keep moving. If you don't, he said, they'll run you over. So let's keep moving, class of 2022. In our dreams, in our expectations, in our ambitions, in our demands for a better country and a stronger democracy. Let's keep moving. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Eiffel, for that very moving address. You are truly an inspiration to us all, and that's particularly important at this moment in time. and as our graduates start their legal careers. So another round of applause for Cheryl and I. And it's now my privilege to introduce the president of our Student Bar Association, Jade Baker.
It's so much cooler up here. I'll let you in on a secret. The front row is the only one without shades, so. To see this many people here in one space, all for the most joyous of reasons, even in these robes made out of tinfoil and velvet, makes me do nothing but smile. So forgive me if I have this ridiculous smile plastered all over my face throughout the entire remarks. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our parents, step-parents, role models, guardians. It's nice to put a face with your living room. I learned so much about your homes during Zoom School of Law. Welcome to all the grandparents who are here to celebrate their grandchildren living out their wildest dreams. Welcome to all of our siblings who will quite literally never live today down. Okay, maybe that one was just for my sisters. Kidding, of course. Everybody here knows that our siblings are more proud than anyone to see their sisters and brothers graduate. I want to welcome all of our chosen family. To complete the law school experience, it takes a village. And it is often those who are not related to us who step up in a way that we couldn't imagine. And I know that there are so many people here, and our villages expand far beyond these seats. So thank you to all who could not be with us today. I would be remiss if I didn't take a quick detour to thank my own family. To my grandparents, Shirley, Alvin, and Evelyn, thank you for your endless support. To my sisters, Narelle, Nicole, and Jasmine, thank you for keeping me humble. And lastly, to my parents, Nevada and Brian, it is your sacrifice, relentless optimism, and encouragement that got me through law school and I know will sustain me beyond. I am who I am because you are who you are. So thank you. And finally, welcome to the graduates. Hi, guys. I can't believe we're here. Not only did we survive an especially difficult time here, we thrived. The class of 2022 constantly made history. I'm going to list a bunch of the amazing accomplishments we've done. You can clap at the end because there's a lot of them. Among us, we have the first undocumented editor-in-chief of a top 20 law review, the first Black female student body president in the school's history, the first woman of color executive director of Barristers Council, the creators of the Justice in Motion app, which assists formerly incarcerated individuals in filing motions to waive interest penalties, the winner of the Thurgood Marshall Moot Court competition, the creator of Raising the Bar, a top 45 law school podcast focused on helping current and prospective legal professionals, the winner of the Washington Bar Association's Charles Hamilton Houston Essay Scholarship, and graduates sitting here who have already argued before the DC Superior Court and U.S. Circuit Courts as student lawyers. Give it up for them. So, if your family is anything like mine, even though they're endlessly proud of you, they have no idea what you actually do. So, let's unpack this. The word advocacy stems from the medieval root to the word advocare, which means to call to one's aid. That is who we are now. We are professional advocates. We call to the aid of others. However, our time here has shown me that is already who we were. We would not have made it here without each other. We endured a life-altering pandemic throughout one of the hardest years of any lawyer's life, law school. Class of 2022, we are resilient. We are not like the other classes. For those that became 2019 or prior, we are the last group of lawyers in American history who applied to law school without ever hearing of COVID. We didn't know what we were signing up for. We didn't know that we would endure half of our law school education from our bedrooms, our couches, or our parents' kitchen tables. I do not wish to understate how isolating that time was for many of us, but I do wish to highlight how we called to the aid of each other during that time. We fought for one another to have equity and grading in the classroom. We showed up in the streets together to protest injustice in the summer of 2020. We joined one too many Zoom rooms to keep our stupid little mental health up. And we strive to keep our community together from countless different locations. And when the time came to go back in person, we kept the culture of Georgetown law alive. You all amaze me, and you should all be so proud of what you've done for one another these past 3 years. We have already laid the foundation it takes to be an advocate. Now that it's all said and done, hundreds of us have taken a class with Professor Jerry Spann. Woo! Maybe it was torts, contracts, or constitutional law too. No matter the class, you have now spent countless hours of your life manipulating the generality of any law. You know that laws are malleable. You know that laws may not be fixed in space the way you thought they once were. And to be honest, that is terrifying, because it means it's on you. It's on us. It's up to the lawyers to fight for the law to be applied in a way that gets to the outcome we desire. It means you will rarely get to go to sleep at night without having any power in our society. It means you are directly responsible for the way you choose to use the law. Martin Luther King Jr. once stated, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Attorney General Eric Holder added, "But it does not bend itself." How powerful is it that every single person sitting here has the ability to bend society towards justice, even if it's just by a little bit? So, if we're going to manipulate the laws anyway, we might as well do it in a way that bends towards justice for all. Today, we became Georgetown lawyers. I have no doubt that everyone here will be a good lawyer or already is a good lawyer. That fact comes with the territory of going to Georgetown. We took all the hard classes, taught by all the prestigious professors, and we passed with flying colors. We were trained to be good lawyers. But is that really what it means to be a Georgetown lawyer? To know all the laws and write motions quickly and to remember your opening addresses super early? That can't be what it means. I challenge us all today to be good people first, to lead with kindness, empathy, and equity at the absolute forefront of our mind. During our time here, I found out that Georgetown has actors, singers, artists, writers, athletes, and activists among us. Every person here did so much more and is so much more than today's law degree tells us. Never forget that. We are people first and lawyers second. Continue to be vibrant, passionate, compassionate. Continue to be you. Let those be the things that make us different and stand out as Georgetown lawyers. Half or more of us today, including myself, will be entering the private sector of law. Now, I know when you hear the word big law, kindness, empathy, and equity may not be the first 3 words that come to your mind. That's fair. But that doesn't mean there isn't a space for them. None of us are destined to be one thing our entire life. We're not even destined to be one thing at one time. We are all multifaceted human beings who should always be ourselves. Now, I understand that the legal profession is normative, but we have the chance to change that. We are the future of the legal profession. Let's make it one that values work-life balance, humanities, our clients' humanity, and ourselves. The world in which we live in equally distributes talent, but it does not equally distribute opportunity. We have now all earned the honored opportunity to be the representation for the unrepresented. Let's not waste it. It is true that heavy is the head that wears the crown, and we have all earned our crowns today, in the form of these tiny, downsized hats. My roommate, Pooja, a fellow law graduate today, taught me what it means to live a life of radical positivity, to smile in the face of anything that's thrown us. We've seen a lot of bad in recent years, it's true, but we can all choose every single day to be the good. We are the movers and the shakers of the future, truly. So I wish us all good luck. Good luck in our careers, our friendships, our lives. Be bold, be passionate, be kind. Cherish today, cherish your loved ones, cherish what we accomplished, cherish what it means to be a Georgetown lawyer. Congratulations, class of 2022, and may we always remember that law is but the means, justice is the end. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jade. Thank you for an extraordinary speech, and thank you for calling us all to remember that law is but the means, justice is the end. So, another round of applause for Jade Baker. So, it is now my honor to begin presenting the candidates for degrees. Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Juridical Sciences please stand? President DeGioia, as Dean of the Law Center, I have the honor to present to you Giovanni E. Gismondi, Obié Okoje, Jutamas Tirawat, and Joaquin Velez Navarro. They have been duly examined and recommended by the faculty and approved by the Board of Directors. I therefore ask that you bestow upon them the degree in course.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Congress of the United States and by the Board of Directors of Georgetown University, I officially confer upon these candidates the degree requested. Congratulations.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws please stand? President DeGioia, as Dean of the Law Center, I have the honor to present to you the candidates for the degrees of Master of Laws, including Master of Laws in Advocacy, Environmental and Energy Law, General Studies, Global Health Law and Governance, International Business and Economic Law, International Legal Studies, National and Global Health Law, National Security Law, Taxation, Technology Law and Policy, Executive Master of Laws in Securities and Financial Regulation, and Taxation, Masters of Studies in Law and Taxation, and Master of Law in Technology. They have been duly examined and recommended by the faculty and approved by the Board of Directors. I therefore ask that you bestow upon them the degrees in course.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Congress of the United States and by the Board of Directors of Georgetown University, I officially confirm upon these candidates the degrees requested. Congratulations.
And now, will the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor please stand? President DeGioia, as Dean of the Law Center, I have the honor to present to you candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor, as well as candidates for the joint degree of Juris Doctor and Master of Arts in Arab Studies, Master of Arts in Security Studies, Master of Business Administration, Master of Public Policy, and Master of Science in Foreign Service. They have been duly examined and recommended by the faculty and approved by the Board of Directors. I therefore ask that you bestow upon them the degrees in course.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Congress of the United States and by the Board of Directors of Georgetown University, I officially confer upon these candidates the degrees requested. Congratulations.
You may now be seated. Congratulations all. And you will now hear from President DeGioia.
Thanks. Well, thank you very much, Dean Traynor. We're deeply grateful to you for your exceptional leadership of our Law Center. And on behalf of our community, I wish to again express our gratitude to Sherilyn Eiffel for making this very special day that much more special by sharing her perspective and insights with us. Thank you very much, Sherilyn. And Jade, thank you. What a beautiful way to contribute to this wonderful celebration. We're honored to be able to celebrate with you. To our graduates, to our families, to each member of our community who's here this afternoon, we're honored by your presence. I want to thank you for being here for this very special occasion. Great honor for me to be able to be here and share this moment, this celebration of the class of 2022. And to the colleagues, friends, mentors, all of the loved ones who join us, we're deeply grateful to each of you for your support of these graduates. And thank you also to the extraordinary faculty who are here today. They are seated behind me, for your deep care and commitment to teaching and mentorship, to research and scholarship, to supporting a vibrant and diverse community. And to our staff, I want to thank you for the many contributions every day that have made this day possible. And finally, to the graduates, the class of 2022, today is your day. And congratulations on all of your hard work, your service, your achievements, the challenges you have overcome. Everything that you have done at Georgetown has brought you to this moment. And it's a great privilege for all of us to be here with you at this very special time. So much has been asked of you over these past few years. This moment has required the very best in each one of us, and it's required the very best in all of us. Your class will be remembered for the responsibility that you accepted for one another and for all those around you, those across our communities. You honored this responsibility, animated by the deepest values that inform your lives, the deepest values that we share by virtue of our membership in this community. You brought out the best in one another. In the tradition that animates Georgetown, we believe that when we seek the best in one another, we just might find the very best in ourselves. Today we celebrate this milestone, a culmination in your legal education. This is a personal achievement and a collective achievement. Throughout these past 26 months, together, you have enabled us to sustain the trajectory, the tradition, the spirit that characterizes this community. Throughout these past 26 months, we have all sought sources of wisdom, sources of insight, seeking to help us make meaning of this moment. One of the sources we can draw from is Stoicism, one of the traditions in ancient Greek philosophy And there are resources within Stoicism that have a profound resonance for the work in which all of you have been engaged, providing us with a way of understanding what it means to make our contribution to the common good, to be a citizen of the world. For the Stoics, we are all connected by a series of concentric circles, by family, by location, by nationality, by identity. Each circle we draw extends outwards, further connecting us to those around us until we are connected to all of humanity. A contemporary interpreter of the Stoics, Martha Nussbaum, describes their perspective in this way, and I quote, "Our tasks as citizens of the world will be to draw the circles somehow toward the center, to make all human beings part of our community of dialogue and concern, base our political deliberations on that interlocking commonality, and give the circle that defines our humanity a special attention and respect." Close quote. This is a resource of incalculable value to those who choose to practice law, to advance justice, those who seek to promote a fairer society and commit themselves to the highest ideals of equality and justice. We are called to recognize and understand the many different identities and experiences present in the people we seek to serve through our legal system, to seek to include and support the widest possible circle, to base our deliberation on that interlocking community. These past few years have shown us the profound nature of our interconnectedness, all the ways in which we are tied to each other. When we encompass the largest circle in our vision for the future, it is then that we can truly advance the common good. When you arrived here, you embarked on a journey to join in that work, one that now continues beyond this place and beyond this moment. All of you are prepared to bring your talents, your knowledge, your compassion, your empathy, your imagination in service to our world. And it is a privilege for us to be here with all of you to recognize this important milestone in your lives and the beginning of the next step on your journeys. Now, with this commencement, you embark on another special time in your lives. This is your time, and we're honored to share this moment with you. Congratulations to the class of 2022.
Thank you, President DeGioia, for those inspiring comments. So, graduates of the class of 2022, this is the last time we're together. And speaking on behalf of all of the Georgetown University Law Center faculty, administration, and staff, I want to begin by saying that it has been a great privilege to know you, to teach you, and to learn from you. You are graduates of many different programs, but today you are one extraordinary group, the Georgetown Law Class of 2022, and we salute you. Each class at Georgetown is unique. The last couple of days, we've had the honor of celebrating in smaller groups, sections, and our LLM graduates on the Law Center campus. And one of the things that I said to you then is that for every class's collective experience is shaped by interactions with one another, both in and out of the classroom. But for you, for the class of 2022, your experience has been shaped in a profound way by the world in a way that no class has ever experienced. You have been together during one of the most globally challenging and politically divisive times in our nation's history. You have been together in a time of pandemic and a time of loss. But my hope is that these experiences have not discouraged you, but rather that they have motivated you, that you, like Sherilyn Ifill, will use your law degree to advance justice and be an advocate for the causes that matter most to you. I hope you never lose the energy and the passion that brought you to Georgetown Law and that you have today. So, to our JD graduates, it has been a pleasure to watch your growth since you began your legal studies. You have added immeasurably to Georgetown Law during your time with us through your contributions in your classes, by the scholarship you produced, and through your work and your commitments in this community and outside the Law Center. We have been enriched as a community by your energy, by your intelligence, and by your thoughtful engagement with questions of how law is shaped and what goals we as lawyers and as citizens and we as Georgetown lawyers should pursue. I want to specifically recognize the graduates of our evening program. And I want to say, I admire you greatly. Not that I don't admire the rest of you. But to work and to go to law school at the same time is remarkable. And as each of you knows, it's a challenging undertaking. This extraordinary dedication will serve you well in your legal career, and I salute you. We applaud our SJD graduates. You have already made important contributions through your scholarship, and we know that in the years ahead you will make great marks in the world of education. And our LLM graduates. Our LLM graduate program brings together remarkable U.S. students who pursue the LLM degree to gain deeper knowledge of subjects of critical importance, with students from around the world who do so much to make this a truly global law school. And your presence at Georgetown has added to our intellectual life in so many ways. And I look forward to watching the important ways in which you will use your Georgetown education to contribute in so many ways and in nations across the world. So, when I salute you, the class of 2022, I'm speaking on behalf of the faculty, administration, and staff who are gathered here on the stage today. And they deserve a round of applause. And I'm also speaking on behalf of parents, spouses, children, brothers and sisters, grandparents, friends, parents, partners, the people who join us here today, and all the others in your life who you wish could be here. All of us, those stage and family and friends gathered on the lawn, are not only proud of you, but we look forward with great expectation to what you will achieve in the years ahead. I know this not only as your dean, but as a parent. And next weekend, I'm going to be at my daughter's graduation. And I can tell you, it is a very, very special time. And on behalf of all the parents and family and friends and loved ones, I understand the wonderful mixture of pride, happiness, and relief that your loved ones here feel today. So, as I said to you over the past few days, no one goes through law school alone. It is a time of extraordinary challenge. And the people, the family, the friends, the loved ones who join us today, they made this day possible. They have listened to you and learned, and they frequently tried out new words and phrases, such as res ipso loquitur, caveat emptor, and of course, Hoya Saxa. They have supported you through your struggles. They have cheered you on. They have sacrificed for you, and today they applaud your success. Would you please stand and turn around to show them your appreciation? Thank you. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to the parents, the family, the friends for all that you have made possible. We are so grateful to you. Graduates, as you embark on your careers, I hope you will remember and honor the Law Center's motto, law is but the means, justice is the end. You are leaving Georgetown Law at a time when lawyers are at the very heart of decisions that will define the future of our country and of the world. I urge you to carry on our deepest tradition and commit yourselves as you pursue your careers in the law to promoting justice and equality, to helping those who need your help. Now more than ever, it is important for you to be what Georgetown educates all its graduates to be, Hoyas for others. Okay, this is the magical moment. Over the course of our school's 152-year history, our graduates have pursued many different paths. Their idealism, commitment, and ability to use the law skillfully and meaningfully have led them to make profound contributions to our society. Today, this moment, you become one of them. Congratulations. And I would now like to invite Amy Ullman, our Director for Mission and Ministry at Georgetown Law, to deliver the benediction. Amy Ullman.
So this prayer includes actually a riff on the traditions of both of my colleagues, Michael Goldman and Imam Hendi. Michael Goldman shared with me a prayer for the traveler, which includes this line: "Save us from every enemy and ambush, from robbers and wild beasts on the trip." Class of 2022, who are the robbers and wild beasts who could steal your joy and the sense of purpose that brought you to law school? One wild beast might be the spirit of division that prevents us from recognizing our shared humanity. As a text from the Quran reflects, "We have made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another." Let's bring in another scene from the Gospel of Luke. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. 2, for various reasons, passed by. The story continues. But a Samaritan, who was an outcast, while traveling, came near him, and as Jade said before, went all out to help him as an advocate. My preferred translation from the Greek, splagnizomai, is not "he took pity," but "he was moved from the gut." Note well, he did not do a risk, utility, or cost-benefit analysis. Nor does altruism or heroism fully capture the sentiment. The Samaritan could not help but be moved to healing action by a sense of shared humanity. And this is what we've heard today together. So this is the substance and hope of the blessing. Lord of all kindness, Bless this class of 2022. Bless all of the family and friends who have accompanied them on their journey thus far. As they continue their journey at the service of justice, may you confer blessing upon the work of their hands. Keep their eyes and hearts open to the sides of the road, attentive to the wounded, the marginalized, the excluded. Heal all of us from every division or indifference, so that we may reflect your own tender concern for every living being. May we all continue our journey in a spirit of hope, grateful for your gifts and for all of the love and support that surrounds us today. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. So the ceremony now concludes. So one bit of logistics. I ask all graduates and guests to remain in your seats until the academic procession has left the lawn. Got it? Okay. And as we're concluding, I just want to say on behalf of all of us on the stage, all of your family and friends, you have gone to law school at a time of the most profound challenge and loss. And you have displayed extraordinary resilience and compassion for each other and faith in the future. And we cannot wait to see what you will do in the years ahead. I present to you all the Georgetown Law Class of 2022.
think so. I may have time to stop at home and put on shorts. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Mission Barbecue.
I'll be back.
Oh man, this was fun. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, Chuck.
Oh, it was a pleasure playing with you, but this was, I don't know. I just keep getting better, don't we?
I agree. Maybe just haven't played this 2 years.
Tighter. I don't know. We were all practicing during the pandemic, I guess.
Can you squeeze? Can you squeeze through there, Rob, or you got it that way?
I'm good this way, yeah, thank you.
Don, good to see you. Good to see you, man. Great to see you play. Thanks so much, Chuck. Mr. Chucky.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
It was a whirlwind of a couple days.
Yes. Well, hopefully it won't be too long before that comes in the mail or
Yeah,
your
well,
bank account.
doesn't matter. Just add it to the pile.
Get you closer to that steel guitar.
Yeah.
Steel guitar. Thanks, Chuck. Such a
Thank
pleasure
you,
sitting next to you.
likewise. We have some fun.
Too much fun.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, great playing. Yeah, fun.
Good for 75. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.